Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about tomatoes. It's a pretty blah day outside and I was going through thinking about what am I going to grow next year, what am I going to try, not try, get rid of. So I wanted to talk about tomatoes. I just said that like 2 or 3 times. Now you know, in case you didn't know, we're going to talk about tomatoes. Anyway, so there's a couple of them that really have disappointed me this year, and it's either the plant themselves, well, both of them are the plant themselves, and that would be the Berkley Pink Tie Dye and the Paul Robeson. What's disappointing about those plants is they gave up before any of the other tomatoes I got. They just stopped. Dropped flowers and everything with the heat, whereas some of the other varieties were longer standing. I do really enjoy both flavors of those 2 varieties. However, I ran out of the Berkley's Pink Tie Dye seeds, so I'm not going to go ahead and order more. Last year they didn't produce that well for me, and this year they didn't produce that well for me, so I'm just done with them. If I get free seeds, well, sure, I'll grow them, but yeah, I'm not going to spend money on them. Paul Robeson, I still have quite a bit of seeds for those, and I will grow them again. This flavor was really good. They were pretty similar with the Berkley's Pink Tie Dye, that smoky, sweet flavor that I really enjoyed. So, I'll just go through my seed packets and talk about them, I suppose. So, since I already talked about the Paul Robeson, that's what they look like. For me, they produced tomatoes about that size. And it says, a Russian variety lovingly named for the famous opera singer Paul Robeson. Amazing flavor that is so distinctive, sweet and smoky. 7 to 10 ounce fruit is red brick color. It did produce more than the Berkley's Pink Tie Dye, so I'm not scared to try Paul Robeson again. However, it was one of the first, like I said, to give up. Which other ones? Oh, the White Tomesols. You know, I tried these for the first time last year and tried them again this year. And these have been really prolific both years. Even with this heat, I still have fruits growing on the vines. Right now, I'm kind of at a standstill of picking. I'm picking some cherries here and there, and maybe a slicer or a paste tomato a couple times a week. But I really, really, really like the White Tomesols, and I've given some away, and people actually like their low acidic, low sweetness taste. They enjoy that. It's different than your regular standard store-bought tomato. So I'm going to grow them again. I didn't think I had any seeds left, so I was going to make it a point to save seeds this year, and then this little guy fell out. So I'm totally stoked that I found more seeds. The Pink Fang. These actually taste really, really good. I don't know how I would describe the flavor. Sweet, not extremely acidic. And they are really meaty. They're kind of on the smaller side. Sometimes I get fruits this size, which obviously I picked it a little early, but the greens stay top. The tops stay a little green, it seems like, for me. Maybe it's just because I'm... Oh! My doggy hit my tripod. Maybe it's just because I get a little anxious and I pick them a little early. But I just end up cutting the green part off if it's still too green, and do my cross on the bottom and stick them in the freezer, and very little juice comes out of them. And they're pretty stinking tasty. My plants have been loaded with little pink fangs, and some are bigger. I really like those, and I'll be growing those again. What else was I going to say? Oh, I had a problem with blossom end rot. However, that's my fault for inconsistent watering. I'm new to growing in containers this year. I'm used to growing in ground, so it took a little adjusting for me to fix the blossom end rot problem, but I got it, and now I am seeing production. Not all of the fruits have ripened yet. I wouldn't call them the earliest producing crop out there, but the plants still have plenty of tomatoes on them. So you could always cut the top of your tomato plant off and force the green tomatoes to ripen if needed. With the Farmer's Almanac already predicted Western Kentucky's first frost date, and they're predicting it for October 27th. So I'm not worried about topping my tomato plants off yet. What other one do I want to talk about? Blue creamberries. You know, I want to say these are my favorite cherry tomatoes this year that I grew. These I picked the most off of, and I picked them early. They don't always stay blue at the top, but these are super delicious. They're low acidity, very sweet, and just, I love them. They do crack. This one has a little bit of blue on it, but they're super delicious even when cracked. I don't mind the cracking. I'll use them anyway. What does it say on the back? Stunning cream amber cherries with purple blue splashes on the shoulders. Delicate, complex flavor, prolific. And they are prolific, I will say that. Okay, another one I'll talk about that I'm growing this year is the black strawberry. This one's also really, really, really tasty. It's not as prolific as the blue creamberry, but these are delicious. And the back of it, I'll show you what they look like coming out of my garden. Beautiful, beautiful tomatoes, consistent in color, consistent in taste, and they're just good. Here's another one. This one I picked slightly early. See, there's still a little green on it. 60 days, 1 ounce fruit is marbled blue, scarlet, and gold. A bowl full resembles a luminous bunch of gems. And the flavor is decadent with indulgent with perfect sweet and tart balanced flavor. That is true. It's not overly tart and not overly sweet. It's a nice balance. Extremely productive early, obvious choice for gardeners and market farmers. I love those. I'm going to be growing those again, happily. And then let's talk about Sunrise Bumblebee. I'll show you what they look like out of my garden. Beautiful. And these are really tasty too. This one I picked a little early. But even if I let them ripen inside, like I've been doing, see, this one I picked slightly early too. They're still really good. Luminous swirls of reds and oranges inside the oblong cherries and out. Sweet, fruity taste. Those are really good. Really, really good tomatoes. And what I don't have packets for that I am also disappointed in, Rutgers. This was, oh, I can't remember the seed company. It's not Burpee. Maybe Gurney's? I think it might be Gurney's Rutgers. At the beginning of the season, I was excited because I didn't know that they were considered saladettes. But I had some huge slicers that ripened really early on the plants, and then I got a bunch of largish cherry tomatoes that I could compare with the black strawberry size, or even the Sunrise Bumblebee size. The flavor is good, but there's nothing awesome about these tomatoes for me. So I'm not going to grow them again. Yeah, I'm using them and I'm eating them because there's nothing wrong with them. They're not gross or anything like that, but that's not what I was expecting. I wanted bigger. When I read the back that you can use them for paste tomatoes and stuff, like, really? I got to use a bunch of those. Although I have been using my bigger cherry tomatoes and freezing them, being ready to make tomato sauce. So I'm just saying, like, but I guess it's just because it's not what I was expecting to grow. So, Bub from Getting Started on Homesteading, gave me seeds while I was over there last time, and so I picked out some that I want to make room to try next year. And I was reading reviews on the websites and other websites where these seeds came from, other websites other than those, and seeing what people say about them. So one of my first picks that I'm excited about is the Rosella cherry tomato. Now, granted, I've read mixed reviews. Hey, these are super productive, and some say they're not. That's why I like to try certain varieties for a couple years to see if I really like them. Obviously, the Ruckers, I'm just not thrilled about them, so I'm just not going to. But other ones like the Paul Robesons, yeah, I'm going to give them a try again because the taste is really good, and so they're going to be worth to grow again for sure. But these are supposed to be really, really tasty. And the back says, bred for superior flavor by gourmet genetics. Massive trusses of pink purple cherries with a smoky blush. Half-inch fruit, superb, fresh, or cooked. Super excited. So other ones I want to try. The Tiffin Mennonite. I read that these plants get huge and they're super prolific and they're tasty. I also read they have big cores and they cat face a lot, but I don't mind that. I like to make sauces and diced tomatoes and things like that, so I'm not worried about cat facing or anything like that. We do keep a slicer in the refrigerator to put on sandwiches or whatnot, but other than that, they go to canning. Okay, another one I'm excited to try that I read more mixed reviews on, but they're supposed to be similar in production and growth to the Tiffin Mennonite, and that's the Solar Flare. And the back says, developed by Brad Gates. He called this variety one of his workhorses. The 6 to 10 ounce beefsteak is red with gold stripes, meaty flesh, delicious sweet red tomato flavor. The Tiffin Mennonite is also supposed to be a beefsteak, but pretty meaty. Cream sausage. This is a determinate tomato, and it produces oblong Roma type white tomatoes. And it says that I read a lot of reviews where the leaves are thin and dainty, which kind of throws people off. But even with disease and plants dying out and stuff, they still produce fruit, and all of the reviews say that these tomatoes are delicious, that they're low acidity and sweet. They're similar color to the White Tomesol, and so I'm excited to try them. I really hadn't thought about growing determinants this year, but I have a piece of fencing that would make an awesome huge tomato cage. So I either thought about letting an indeterminate go wild in there, or a cherry tomato, which is an indeterminate, go wild in there in a 5-gallon bucket. But I'm thinking that cream sausage is what's going to go in there. I might put like 2 or 3 plants in there in 3 different 5-gallon buckets and just make like a arch-shaped trellis on the sides and try to keep them tied up that way and let half of them fall over. It's 5-gallon buckets, they'll be okay. And I think that's it. I also want to try Black Krim. I was looking for heavy producers since I was kind of disappointed in production of a couple of my varieties this year. And they say that the Black Krim is a really good producer. And for paste tomatoes, they were saying Italian Heirloom is wonderful too. But I found one on Baker Creek that I just typed in the search Italian Heirloom, and then this one popped up. It looks more like a beefsteak, but they're saying it makes great sauces and stuff, and it's a great producer as well. The taste is delicious. I can't remember what it's called, but I will find out and I will put the name of it down here. I want to try to get some of those tomatoes. But other than that, yeah, I'd like to make another row of the cut in half 55-gallon barrels and run another trellis. The fencing that I use this year for trellising isn't the best, but it works. Obviously the weight of the tomatoes makes it funky looking, but hey, my garden's in the backyard, and it's not for show, it's for growing food. If it grows you food, then it doesn't have to be the prettiest. Some of the ugliest gardens produce the tastiest food. So what else am I doing with my tomatoes? I wanted to talk a little bit more about tomatoes, so let me show you what I got going on. I'm starting to find I don't know what to do with all of my cherry tomatoes. So Jess from Roots and Refuge Farm was saying that you can dehydrate your cherry tomatoes, and I never thought about that. Why not? It's another way to kind of make diced tomatoes in a sense. You just cut them in half, and I stuck mine upside down on the rack, and I'm dehydrating them at 135 degrees, and it's been about 20 hours and they are almost done. They're just a little soft yet, but I don't have air conditioning in the house, so it does take a little bit longer for me to dehydrate things since the humidity has been crazy during this rainy season we've been having. Another thing I've been doing excuse me, is yes, freezing tomatoes, but then I went ahead and defrosted some of the tomatoes, squeezed out juice. I had 2-gallon freezer bags full of tomatoes and drained juice out and created like 1.5 gallon bag. So that's saving me time cooking out juice and all of that from my tomatoes simply by doing that. You got some extra time on your hands, that's something to do on the weekend or whatever. Defrost them out, drain some juice out, and put them back in the freezer until you have enough to make sauces with. So hey guys, thank you for hanging out with me today and discussing tomatoes. If you want to discuss your tomatoes and let me know what you liked and what you didn't like, tips, something I could be doing or considering that I'm not thinking about, please let me know down in the comments. And hey, I love you and so does Jesus. God bless.